Hey guys, we're going to set up the template file for your Job 1 book jacket. So I have Illustrator already launched. Let's go ahead and create a new document by going to the File menu up on top and select New. Now you want this to be 18 inches wide by 8 inches tall with a quarter of an inch bleed all the way around, which is 0.125. And you go ahead and name it your last name underscore book jacket. Again, naming it right here does not necessarily save your document. Hit create. So it should look fairly like this. Go ahead and in your layers palette, if you don't have your layers palette up, go to the Windows layers. That's where it's located. Double click on that first layer, and I want you to call it guides, because we're going to create guides to set up your regions for your book jacket. And hit enter to accept. You want to show your ruler guides. So go to Command R or go to View, Show Rulers. So on the very top left corner of your document, I like to call that the 0, mark by default. Notice that in the rulers, that's where the 0 line starts from your horizontal and vertical plane. So if I hold down the space bar and move my canvas around, the rulers follow along with that default location. So the first thing I want to do is drop a guide in the 3-inch mark. So I'm going to grab my zoom tool and zoom in until I see 3 inches, and there it is right there. With my selection tool, it doesn't really matter which tool you have on hand. You want to click inside the rulers, because I'm going to drop a vertical line on the 3-inch mark. So I'm going to click and drag out, and notice that I'm right there on the 3-inch mark, okay? So the next space is 5.5 inches from there, so 5.5 plus 3 is 8.5 inches. So I need to drop another guide to 8.5 inches. So I just zoomed in again to find it. There it is right there. Click inside the ruler and drop another vertical line on 8.5 inches. So the spine is only 1 inch wide, so 8.5 plus 1 is 9.5. Drop another guide at 9.5 inch mark. Command 0 to view your results. So then from this point on should be 5.5 inches, which is the same equal space as the back cover. And let's say that I don't want to add, I hate to math. And the reason why I say this is because I want to show you another trick. If I grab my selection tool, inside this area on the very far left corner of the rulers, you see this little crosshair section? I can click inside that and drag out and tell anywhere in my document where I want the rulers 0, mark to start. So if I release the mouse here, notice that the zeros jump to that location. So the 0 mark is now exactly in that same position wherever I released my mouse. So with that said, I want to zero out. Instead of by default, which is the top left corner, I want to zero out the top right corner instead. So I'm going to grab my ruler guides from the inside crosshair section, drag out, and land it right there on my top right corner. And notice that my ruler guides jump to that location. So from the far edge here of the right side of the document, I'm going to drop a ruler guide 3 inches from that. So I'm going to grab my zoom tool so I can find it. There it is right there. Grab a vertical ruler and drop it right there in 3 inches. Command 0 to fit in window, or go to view, fit in window. And notice that this is the space that I have for the right side of the sleeve copy. This is the amount of space you have for your front copy, for your front of the book. That's your spine. And this is the back cover. This is the far left. So here is how much real estate you have for designing your project. Keep in mind that you want to make sure that whatever logo, or not logo, but typography that you set for the front of the cover, it must carry through to the spine, because it's kind of like the book's logo, if you will. So keep those kinds of design elements on hand. So now that your guides have created, you're going to lock it down because you don't want to continue messing with that part. You're going to create a new layer. And I want you to name that layer sleeve copy. So what we're going to do now is create linking text boxes starting from the far right, because it's going to start reading from the far right all the way to the far left. So with that said, you're going to grab your text tool, just your regular type tool, and you're going to drag from the 3-inch mark all the way to the very top corner down, and it's going to fill it with some dummy text for now. Make sure that you have your paragraphs palette available to you, because you want that text to be justified with a line left. Okay, and I'm going to grab some of this body of copy and hit copy, paste, 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 only because I want some floating text boxes. Okay, I want to carry that text all the way around to the next side because I want linking text boxes. So I'm going to select inside that little red box that indicates that I'm carrying overflowing text and bring it to the very far left side. So now the copy fitting that I do is going to go from the far right to the far left. Okay, so the next thing we need to select and change is select both of the text boxes. We do not want the body of text to ride all the way along that edge and inside that edge of the where the guideline meets. Because this is technically your guidelines is where your fold lines should be if you were to print this out and create a mock-up. I want to create some kind of padding space around that. Now, yes, I can technically take the actual body, the text box, and size it down to fit that area, but you got to be precise, and it looks inconsistent, and you have to do it to both sides. So I'm going to edit, undo, edit, undo. So the solution is to select both copies, both text boxes, go to the type menu up on top, and select auto type, area type options, and tell it, select your preview, and tell it to do an inset space of 3/8 of an inch, which is 0.375. A quarter of an inch just isn't enough, and hit OK to apply. So now your body of copy is going to remain inside that space. So it's not riding along the edge, so that when you create your fold line, you have enough padding all the way around your text boxes. Okay, and you can actually just remove some of that, extra dummy text so that you don't have any additional overflowing copy. Well, I guess I got a little too carried away with my copy text. There you go. Now this is just a placeholder. The information that you do for your sleeve copy is going to be based. You're going to find that based on your research of the book. It should be either a synopsis of the book, and once you finish some of the synopsis, you can put the author's photo here, and you're going to, you can even do some information about the author, or some kind of, or like a website of the book, or the author, or Facebook page link, social media, whatever. But the information on the sleeve copy is going to be from your research about the book. So the next thing you want to do, obviously, you want to save this document. So go to File, Save As, go onto the desktop, create a new folder, and I want you to call this your last name _ Job1. I'm going to create. So then you're going to save your book jacket. Your last name _ bookjacket.ai. Hit save, and whatever version you have, it's fine. Hit OK. And now your document is saved. The next step is to convert the author's photo into a duotone. So I'm going to hide Illustrator. I'll hide my Google Chrome. Here's the folder that I created. Sorry about my desktop. I love Star Wars, and I'm a big fan of Battlefront. So inside the assets folder that you downloaded, you're going to go into the photos, and here's the author's photo. Now, if you find one on the internet, that's fine. Just go ahead and launch that into Photoshop. I'm going to show you how to convert that to a duotone. By the way, this is my friend Bobby. He doesn't know that I use his photo in class, and I'm going to keep it that way. So if you go to image size, so far it's 3 inches by 3 inches at 150 dpi, which is a fantastic resolution. So I'm going to hit OK and just leave it like that. So under the image, now again, this is not a Photoshop class, but just follow along. Under the mode, notice that duotone is not available. I have a CMYK file. Most cases, you guys will probably have an RGB file, and that's okay for this particular exercise because we're going to have to convert it to a grayscale first. So I'm going to select grayscale. And it's going to give you this information. Just hit OK. And it's going to convert it to a grayscale. So now when you go back to image, mode, duotone, now you have that available. On the monotone, change that to duotone. Now you can do tritones and quadtones, but if you select tritone, that's a 3-color job. Quadtone would be a 4-color job, which is not what this assignment's about. So I want you guys to just select duotone. Now, when you get duotones, you get 2 different ink boxes. The first one should be black. If it's not black, you click inside that area, but you make sure that these guys here are 0, 0, 0, 100. If you do not do that, that photograph will be a 4-color black. I don't want that, and I will be looking for this guy. So make sure that when you click inside that black box here, it's going to take you to the color picker dialog box. 0, 0, 0, 100. Only one color. So hit OK to apply. The second color is going to be one of the 2 Pantone colors that you chose for your project. And to get to that, you click inside that ink box right here. So click in here. Then it's going to take you again to the color picker, but you're going to select color libraries on the tabs on the right side. Click on that. And you want to make sure that you have Pantone solid coded. So let's say that one of my colors, it's a 485 red, which is like a Coca-Cola red or Mickey Mouse pants red. So that's going to be one of my Pantone colors, 485 red. So I'm going to hit OK to apply. And notice that it changed my photo to a duotone. So now I have a 2-color photograph instead of a CMYK or an RGB. So black is one of the colors, and say that I chose Pantone 485 red to be my second color. Don't worry about the curves setting here. Just leave it as default for this assignment and hit OK to apply. Now you must save this photo as an EPS file by going to File, Save As, and you select, instead of Photoshop, you say Photoshop EPS. Now you want this inside your Job1 folder that you created and just call it author.eps and hit save. And all this here, just leave it as default. I'm not going to go into details what all this stuff means. Again, this is not a Photoshop class. So I'm just going to hit OK to apply and then close out, and then I can go to Photoshop, quit Photoshop because I will not be needing it anymore. So I'm going to close that. So inside my Job1 folder, I should have my project and my EPS authors photo. So go back to Illustrator. Now inside that same layer where it says sleeve copy, go ahead and place that photo by going to File, Place. Navigate to it, make sure it's link. I will be looking for that. Hit place. Now you want it to be the exact same width as your text box. So click, so you want the author's photo, by the way, to be on the far left side. So I'm going to click and drag to be that same size. Now, let's say that I add a couple more lines of copy here just to overflow. And I'm just going to select a small portion, copy, paste, 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 because this is what I want. I want it to overflow. So if I move the photograph to the side, I got copy underneath it. So now what I want to do is do a text runaround around my photos, because I want my text, my photograph to just wrap around my body of copy. So I'm going to select both the photograph and the text box. Now remember guys, the photo is technically on top of the text box. I'm going to go to the Objects menu, and I believe it's Text Wrap Make. And it's going to give me this error message. It says OK. And notice that now I have this padding around my photograph. If I move it over here, the text is going to wrap around my image. That's what I want. Now it doesn't, you can do the same thing with objects. It doesn't have to be a photograph. Let's say that I have the star here, this black star, right? And if I move it to this side here and I select the star and the text box, go to Object menu, Text Wrap Make, and it's going to give you, I just hit Don't Show Again, hit OK, and it's going to create a image wraparound around my object and my body of text. I can actually change the width of this by selecting my image and by selecting the object and the text box by going to Object, Text Wrap Options, and then I can set it to however distance. The 6 points is by default, but if I want to increase that, show you preview, notice that it changes the size of your padding. If you want more spacing around your object, see, 6 is good for now for default. I don't need that. That was just for demo. This is what I need, okay? At this point, you want to save your document. So save and save often, guys. So this is what you have. This is what you should be continuing. Now, once you're done with this portion and you've edited your copy, you just go ahead and lock it down, create a new layer, and let's say that you want to create like your background image. You can even take that layer, drag it to the bottom, and let's say that I want to create some kind of a, I don't know, like a barcode, not a barcode, but just start illustrating and designing your items here that way. And let's say that I want to, inside my swatches palette, since the photograph has a Pantone 485 associated with it, look, it shows up on my swatches right there. So I select it, and then I can just go ahead and start designing my piece however I want. Okay? Now, let's say I already selected one of my Pantone colors, so I'm going to remove everything else so that I don't accidentally use the wrong color. Okay. Yes. And let's say that I still need to pick a secondary color for my project. So I'm going to go into the swatches, or I can go to the Windows menu, scroll down on the bottom, like a swatch libraries, color books, Pantone solid coated. There it is. So I need to pick a second Pantone color for my project. So let's say that I'm going to pick, so 485 red, what's a good complementary color, or just scroll down here. Let's say that I want Pantone 276 blue, which is kind of like a purpley blue color. Okay, so here are my two Pantones for my project, and I have black. So guys, this is what you need to do. So I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call this one my colors. I'm going to set it off to the side for a bit. Actually, no, I'll just leave it right here. So I'm going to create 3 little rectangles. So this is what you can do to maximize your colors. So I'm going to assign one to black, which is just 100% black, this one. So this color is going to be my Pantone 276, and this one's going to be my third color, Pantone 45 red. So I'm going to copy this around 10 times. So that's 1, 2, Command D, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And grab your colors. So this is going to be my 100%, 90, 80, 70, all the way down. So this, I'm going to change that to be 90% of this color. This one's going to be 90% of 276. And then this one's going to be 90% of 45. My second rows are my 80s, so you get the idea. So I'm going to do 80. This is going to be 80. And this is going to be 80. So I'm setting up your color palettes for the project. This is my row of 70s. This one's going to be 70. I know this is a process and it can be a little tedious, but there is a method to this madness. This one's going to be my 60s. And it's just the easiest way of setting up your percentages. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Oh, there you go. 50 and 50 and 50. All right, guys, I'm going to stop the video here and create a part 2 video because otherwise this will take too long. In part 2, I will have this area completed.